Hey everyone, this is Dr. Aeronautics. Welcome back to the Northeast Corridor. Today we've got a cab ride with the cab car, and we will be using a southbound peak train. We'll be operating as MARC Train 511, which is an R train. That means it's operating in the current pandemic environment. Now, it might be a little bit tricky to drive this train because the way the braking works on the cab cars is the first notch, it's like, okay, you want no braking. The second notch is, okay, you want no braking. The third notch is like, okay, you want suppression. I'm like, no. So, just a quick note, 511 comes from Perryville, so it would never be parked on this track. But luckily, we are getting closer to the time where Washington to Philadelphia will be complete. It's really great. Brandon is getting the code from Dovetail Games. He reached an agreement with them so that he could significantly improve the signaling script to make it fully realistic. And I think that's just awesome. So the signals will actually work as they should, including the cab signal block breaks in between the different blocks that just have cab signal indications. Whoops. I guess I forgot to... I think T is the load unload button. We should take care of that now before we end up being late. There we go. I'm always amazed at the interior detail that these things have. They did a nice job with them. And speaking of nice jobs, I just found out about the OpenNEC project mod, which fixes so many of the other problems with the Northeast Corridor. So I will probably get that sometime soon. So departure time is at 6:30, so just about 2 minutes to go. This train will make all stops, but West Baltimore and Halethorpe are untimetabled because they only stop when the R schedule is in effect, but it is in effect now and has been because of coronavirus. In fact, this is probably by far the longest period that MARC has ever run the R schedule. Okay, we should be all set up now and perfect timing. course, we're using Fanrailer's sound mod that works on the, I think it works on the bell, but it definitely works on the horn. As well as the repaint mods and the 103 mile per hour gearing mod for the MP36. I do need to have the display in the upper right because I don't have enough insight into what specific brake settings and power settings we're at. Pretty cloudy morning here. Okay, here we go. Should be a little bit easier to drive with the cab car because the cab car stops at the end of the platform in every case, since the last cars are the ones that stop at the stations. Oops, wrong key there. Cool, we got the doors open at West Baltimore. I think they have this headlight backwards. You see, if I go outside, that's bright, and that's dim. But what's dim shows up far, what's dim shows up far away, and what's bright shows up nearby, which doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, the 8 in the 80s has an issue showing up on the number plate, but you can see the 90s and 100s just fine. And these are untimetabled stops, so I'm not going to look at the schedule. There's no answer for when the train arrives at these stations. It's just marked with an R. First timetabled stop is BWI Airport at 6:44. I didn't hear the ring for some reason. Now here's the real question. Normally the train doesn't stop here, so if this is an untimetabled stop, we're still going to get behind because the normal scheduled train doesn't stop here. So it looks like we have some time to make up. I'm going to try to make this one a little bit of a harder break so that we can get stopped faster. This time the cab car did decide to open. Yeah, 44 was the departure time, and it's 47, so we got 3 minutes to make up. Next is Odenton at 6:51. Next speed limit we have to worry about is in Lando. Oh dear. Well, it seems there's a little bit of a changeover active in Train Simulator. I thought Microsoft Train Simulator left the abrupt changeovers. One of the things I absolutely love about cab cars is their brute force nature. I mean, look at this. This is just a flat face in the wind. We're doing 91, but we'll get up above 100 miles an hour, and some MARC trains drive this thing at 125. Could you imagine a flat-faced car doing 125? It's insane. There you go, 100 miles an hour straight into the wind. Okay, we're coming into Grove now. Hopefully the NEC mod will add train stop markers for the MARC trains. I love that. It passes you so fast that you think you're stopped until it's gone, and then as soon as it goes, you're like, oh, we're going like 6 miles an hour. So 54, still 3 minutes late. Next is Bowie State at 6:58. I love how these things tip. It looks so unstable, but in fact, it's one of the most stable vehicles there is. Okay, that's the Patuxent. 9. We're actually only 1 minute late, so we are making up some time. That's good. Next is Seabrook at 7:04. I keep forgetting to mention this. This is the north leg of the Bowie Y, and that's the Popes Creek secondary splitting off there towards the generating plants of Morgantown and Chalk Point. And then this is the south leg coming on here. It's actually a pretty long branch line. It's about 50 miles from this Y down to Morgantown, and about 35 from the Y to Chalk Point. So maybe as high as 40. So it's a pretty extensive system. That's the only major branch line of the NEC that goes more than, you know, like a couple miles and becomes like an industrial track, that kind of thing. Looks like we're doing all right on this braking so far. I wanted to have one that's been perfect, and I haven't seen any thus far. This one's looking really good, though. I'm not going to touch it unless I have to. So let's see, we use 15%, or 15 PSI. Okay, we got to get it now, but that was pretty good. I don't like that they made the Seabrook and Bowie State platforms low level. I'm hoping that's one thing that can get fixed in the mod. Okay, we pulled out of there at 7:05, maybe 7:04, so maybe you could argue that we're on time. It has us pulling into New Carrollton at 7:10. I can tell you from experience, it is not going to take 6 minutes to get to New Carrollton. So I think we're finally going to catch up at New Carrollton. My guess is when this stuff is requiring that they stop at these R stations that aren't timetabled, you'll get all those alerts that say, MARC train 511, a southbound to Washington Union Station, is running approximately 2 to 5 minutes late. You know, when you hear an announcement like that, that's probably what this is. And then the depart or the leave or depart early at New Carrollton at 7:10. I'm going to bet that's there as a catch-all so that it doesn't pull into Washington Union Station late and look bad for MARC and Amtrak, and also handle make things a little bit manageable for Union Station inbound traffic. So I'm going to guess that's what it is. All right, so we're coming into perfect. Going under the Capitol Beltway right now. That looks like an actual right amount of traffic. No, that's just one lane's worth of traffic on each side. I was gonna say. And then, of course, at this time, it would be stop and go bumper to bumper. Yeah, it seems like 15%, and then when you get to the station platform, you make adjustments at that point. That seems to be the best way to do things. Let's see, the first 20% is hold. That's technically where we should put it when we're done releasing the brakes. And now we'll go up to service and back to lap. That's the way it's done. Perfect. All right, let's see, 7:08 and 7:10. It's just a minute and a half. You know what? I think I will stay, just because we haven't had the opportunity to be on time thus far. I want to try and see if we can get the start really good, because up until this point, I haven't been able to manage to get the train going at the right speed. It's always like a thump to get going, which is not realistic. Generally, it's so smooth you almost can't tell. There's like no jerk. It's just like the train's moving from a from an infinitesimal amount of acceleration that you can't tell, and then you're like, okay, we're moving. I have to say, they did a really nice job with this Metro Rail station. And these black things, they really have dim orange or red lights, but let's be honest, if it's daylight, you can't see them. You have to be underground to see them. But these things will blink when there's a Metro Rail coming. And then further away, there's this. This is a little bit off. This is kind of like that brown crosswalky material that's like anti-skid. And then you have the hexagonal, I assume that's clay tile. And then the station names here, you can see like orange, and then Vienna would be that way. And then nothing because this is New Carrollton. So, and then the nice globe lights from like the 70s and 80s. They really did a nice job. Okay, time to go. Ooh, that looks pretty good. So it seems like if you release the brakes, wait like a second, and then increase the throttle to 20%, that seems to be the thing to do. It's amazing how different this looks in Microsoft Train Simulator. In Microsoft Train Simulator, that bridge up ahead, which is US Route 50, we'd be going under that pretty much like right now. So it's off a little bit. So US Route 50 at this point is actually a limited access highway, which I find funny. Whenever someone Googles like the loneliest road in America, I can guarantee you I'm going to get US 50. Yep, US Route 50 in Nevada. But here in suburban Maryland, it's 3 lanes each direction, and up there where it intersects the Capital Beltway, it's 6 lanes each direction for a short period of time. So it always depends on perspective. We're due at Union Station at 7:30, and I can tell there's pretty much absolutely no way that we're going to be late. Even if we had something crazy like an alerter deciding to wake up that hasn't been active the whole time, it came to a complete stop and screwed around for 3 minutes, and then we'd still be many minutes early. And the Landover Metro Station looks pretty good too. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Good, I still have my lights on dim. Yeah, I will commonly see these trains dim their headlights when they're approaching other trains. That's something that I haven't been getting into the habit of. I have been dimming them for stations pretty well, but not for trains yet. That I still have to get into my routine. Let's see, the Orange Line Cheverly station is coming up. That's it right there. I did take a look at this before in my route review, but I was kind of preoccupied with all the other things going on. Right now I'm just obsessed with looking at it. Although it kind of doesn't look like there's a third rail on the Metro Rail tracks. But other than that, I mean, it is missing the globes on the inside of that station. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty good. For a train line that we don't even use. That's US 50 again, by the way. For a train line that you can't even drive on, that's really good. This is another thing I want to see taken care of in the mod, is these triple-digit mileposts which don't show up. Only the double-digit mileposts show up. The Anacostia. So at this point, US 50 is transitioning to New York Avenue and entering the downtown and receiving stoplights, and soon we too will be receiving Let me say it right. More restrictive aspects. I keep saying, oh, we're going to get restricted signals, but that's a particular aspect. I think that's milepost 133. That's the first slowdown. Oh, there we go. Improvement. One small step at a time. Alright, weirdo signal that I can't tell what's going on. Hopefully the mod will get this. Here's Ivy City. Alright, so that was the second slowdown. Nice. Normally that signal's displaying a more restrictive aspect, so we're good to keep cruising at 45. That's a pretty cool shot right there. You got the Capitol building poking right above Union Station. And you can't see that from the train cars because obviously you can't see straight in front of the train, but that does happen in real life. It's a straight shot down, I think it's 1st Street, and the geometry does work out. Oh shoot, we're speeding. The geometry does work out so that the Capitol Dome will poke right over the center of the station, which almost makes it look like it's, you know, self-actualization, which is really cool. I have to say, whoever designed the quick drive paths, I have a feeling it was Brandon. They did a really nice job with this. You know, this is commonly a path that an inbound Penn Line train would take. It's time to dim the lights. And probably put the cab light on. got all the new LED lights on the ceiling. I miss the old days when there were those huge orange mercury vapor lamps that like you would see in the Lowe's and stuff. Smooth. Perfect. My brakes are locked. That's weird. Glad that's not going on right now. Alright guys, thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Southbound MARC train currently operating in coronavirus world. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.